The year is 1990, and the skies over the old continent are filled with state-run legacy carriers. Yet a tiny airline from Waterford, Ireland, was about to change everything. Establishing itself in 1984, Ryanair has grown from a small airline flying short hops between Waterford, Ireland to London Gatwick into Europe's largest air carrier. In 30 years, Ryanair has expanded further and grown faster than any other airline in Europe.
No fares made simple.
Ryanair has come to symbolize modern European aviation, democratizing airfares and revolutionizing the way people travel across the old continent. First taking flight in 1985, Ryanair wasn't initially a low-cost carrier. In fact, it was a business carrier, carrying business people from Waterford, Ireland to London Gatwick, just to return back in the evening so these business travelers wouldn't have to stay overnight in London. In their first year alone, they managed to travel 5,000 passengers from Ireland over to London, England. With this success, they were spurred on and motivated to continue growing. So Ryanair bought two Hawker Siddeley HS748s in their second year of service, and they created a new route from Dublin to Luton, operating directly with British Airways and Aer Lingus. They were operating several flights per day each way during peak travel periods. The way they managed to stay afloat, even while competing against flag carriers like British Airways and Aer Lingus, was that their ticket prices were much cheaper than those airlines. By the mid-1990s, Ryanair moved from a respectable 5,000 passengers a year to 660,000 passengers per year. And the number of employees hired under Ryanair went from 25 to 477. But even with this newfound success, Ryanair was still struggling to keep costs down and be competitive with legacy carriers from across the old continent. So they took a page out of Southwest Airlines' playbook to become a low-cost carrier and save as much money as possible to be competitive with legacy carriers. One of the ways Ryanair cuts costs to have the cheapest flights possible is what you see in every single Ryanair flight, and that is a Boeing 737. Ryanair exclusively operates Boeing 737s, and because they use one aircraft type, that saves thousands of dollars a year in training of different pilots to do different aircrafts and sim training, as well as millions of dollars in having maintenance technicians and different mechanical parts for different aircraft. By having a single type, they save millions of dollars a year in maintenance costs, employee costs, and deliverables costs. Ryanair, since the 1990 relaunch, has also been working consistently to make sure that their flight operations work for travelers, basically becoming a transit bus for the sky, landing in destinations that travelers want to travel to the most and in times that they are most likely to travel. Ryanair realizes that most of their customer base are people trying to visit friends and family, so they prioritize departures and times of the week that exercise that. But these aren't the only things Ryanair is doing to optimize and keep their flights the most efficient and low cost. For example, when Ryanair orders its new Boeing 737 aircraft, you'll notice on the interior a spotless yellow plastic surrounding most of the cabin. This makes it easier and quicker to clean, as well as the safety cards are imprinted on the front of your tray table in the seat in front of you, instead of having it in seat pockets. This saves money on having plastic safety cards, as well as saving time for flight crews cleaning up after a flight to turn around because they don't have to dig through those pockets. Now, while this may all seem extreme, Ryanair doesn't even stop there. For example, none of their seats recline, which allows them to have more seats inside the cabin for more ticket sales, as well as eases maintenance because they don't have to worry about moving parts in those seats. On top of that, there is no way to upgrade your seat because there is no business class. It is all one economy class for the entire length of the aircraft. These methods have all been used to reduce costs as much as possible for Ryanair when operating. On top of this, they also removed their catering services, no longer being able to have free complimentary food or drinks. If you want to have any snacks on a flight, it comes at a cost, and this is how Ryanair has differentiated itself from legacy state carriers. And one of the final but most important ways Ryanair has reduced its costs is by using secondary airports. What do I mean by this? I mean the fact that Ryanair doesn't land at London Heathrow or even London Gatwick. They fly all the way to London Stansted. The reason why they do these using secondary airports in major European cities is because those airports have much cheaper slot and airport fees compared to major airports in major European cities such as London Heathrow or London Gatwick. So by utilizing these secondary airports near major cities, Ryanair is still keeping the traffic that would go into those major cities while paying half the price that they would if they were a legacy carrier flying into major airports. This keeps their costs phenomenally low. On top of that, at airports, Ryanair rarely, if ever, uses gates. Instead, they will make people be bussed out to the tarmac and then loaded by air stairs onto their aircraft, saving them gate and bridge fees. All these factors we've mentioned has made Ryanair essentially the most efficient and effective airline in Europe. And because of that, it has allowed them to dominate the skies over the old continent, even over state carriers that have existed for almost 100 years, such as KLM or Lufthansa. Ever since the deregulation of European skies in 1992, Ryanair has been able to leverage this to their advantage, growing to become the largest airline in Europe, beating out TAP, Lufthansa, KLM, Air France, British Airways, and even in their home country of Ireland, Aer Lingus, to become the largest airline in Europe. This has been an incredible success story over 30 years in the making Ryanair competitive with major European carriers. Now that's it for today's video. If you enjoyed it, please drop a like and please subscribe, as we're trying to post daily content for you, and that comes at a lot of effort. So please go ahead and subscribe, turn on that bell notification, and remember, this has been your flight service.